Hey, it's Alpita, the Mystical Mama, and tomorrow is the full moon. Dun, dun, dun. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, oh my God, it was so bright last night. I'm like looking outside and I'm like, it looks really, really bright. And I'm like, oh, that's right, the full moon's coming. And then we had this little dusting of snow, so everything kind of glowed. It was really, really pretty. Albeit it's like negative something here in Connecticut right now. I haven't looked at the weather, but then again, I haven't been out since Wednesday, so I don't really care. It doesn't affect me. If you're out there, I'm sorry, but you know, it's winter. In the Northeast, this is what we deal with. It's kind of like when it starts snowing and people are like, oh my God, it's snowing. Well, you live in the freaking Northeast. This is our weather. Like, you don't like it, move. Like, I'm not trying to be a bitch, but what do you expect, right? Like, I don't go to Florida and be like, oh my God, it's so hot. I might say that, but it's like, you know it's Florida and you know it's hot. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on. Full moon in Leo. So, the full moon has two sort of properties that it has, okay? One is illuminating things, obviously, turning the lights up on things. And so lots of revelations, and I personally have felt the new moon energy, the full moon energy now for, it's been at least 3 or 4 days, and it's been intense. So Leo is really about being yourself, being proud of yourself, being like shining, and just not being like, just remember that the symbol for, or the animal for Leo is the lion. It's like, I don't need to tell you who I am. I'm a fucking lion. You know, when you see me, even if you don't know what the word lion is, or you don't know that that's what I am, that you know I'm a fucking lion, and that I'm not someone to be messed with. That's the kind of energy that this full moon brings in. So it's about really stepping into your power. It's not even about stepping into your power, but just remembering. Like, it's not even a remembering. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like, I want to almost call it a download, but it's not even a download. It's kind of like the program that was running, that was causing you to forget who you are, stopped running. And now the primary program of you remembering who you are, or the program of you being the lion in your life, regardless of what your zodiac sign is, but you being you and being like, this is who I am, and not even having to say this is who I am, and just being you is now in full effect. And now, again, this doesn't apply for everybody. Everybody's different. We all experience the astrological energy weather differently, but I can definitely feel it. I can definitely feel it where it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like, who the fuck do I think I am? Like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? Why am I putting up with this? Why am I not, like, it's just like, and it's not even a complete awareness. It's almost kind of like, again, you're shifting. And right now, what I'm sensing is, it's this kind of like, shift into like, again, it's unless you're like really aware of it, you're not even noticing it, or maybe you're not experiencing it because you're not as aware or as awake as some people are. Okay, this is, you know, I am a psychic, I am a medium, I'm an intuitive, so this is my world, and so I tend to experience energy and the astrological cycles a lot more than some people, because I mean, this is what I do. I've been this way all my life. So, anyway, it's just a shift. It's literally like, one minute it's raining, the next minute it's not. It's not even, there's no like, it's just a shift. Again, I know I'm repeating myself. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. A lot of times with these energies, it's hard to put it in words, but it's kind of like snapping back into, it's like waking up from a dream. It's like waking up from, it's kind of like, here's a good analogy that's coming to me. It's kind of like you were playing a part and now you're back to your real self. It's like you exit stage left and now you're back to being you. Okay, it's that sort of thing. And it's not in all areas of your life. You'll notice it mostly in relationships. And you'll notice it in career and money. Okay, where it's like, it's just a shift. Okay, so that's one thing that's going on right now, is the illumination, things coming to light, things like, and it's not old things. It's just a switching back into who you were, a switching back into sovereignty, into like, I don't want to say that like you go back to who you were, but in a sense, like it's kind of like you're stepping out of this character that you've been playing and being yourself again, right? The other thing that is really powerful about the full moon is it's this sense of purging. Okay, and usually like some people experience it after the full moon, where like all of a sudden from, you know, the whole time that it's waning, you know, from the full moon to the new moon, they're like, you know, deleting things and throwing things out and cleaning, and, you know, where from the new moon to the full moon, it's accumulation, it's growth and things like that. I usually experience it in this little like 6-day window, actually probably 7-day window. So 3 days before the day of the full moon and then 3 days after. So I've been doing a lot of cleaning. I actually cleaned my entire room today, even freaking the cobwebs, and something that I don't always do because I can't reach it. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna try the vacuum cleaner. I cleaned out under my bed. I mean, I did the best I could because it's kind of hard to vacuum under the bed, even with the attachments and stuff. But I was able to clean a lot of stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff underneath here. Because like stuff falls on the floor and then my cat steals it or whatever. It just gets forgotten, right? And literally clean the entire room. I think the only thing I didn't do was wipe down the window, which I'll probably do tomorrow now that I think of it. Getting rid of some stuff, throwing out things. You know, I'm a big time journaler, but I don't like to keep stuff. Like I've noticed that like certain things I write over and over again, like business plans and things like that. And it's like, okay, I don't like that anymore, or I already did that or whatever, and I'll throw it out. I don't like to keep everything that I write. I don't think everything is necessary to be kept. And I also find sometimes that when you throw something out and it's still a valid idea or something that you needed to, you can recreate it. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not saying go throw all your stuff out. But like going through, I know tomorrow I'm going through my coloring books, and a lot of my books, I have a lot of books that I'm getting rid of because it's like, okay, I've read it, or I know the concepts in that book, or I've read the book or whatever, right? But really shifting things and getting rid of things is really, really powerful this time of the month. Cleaning, like I said, I vacuumed. I don't even remember the last time I vacuumed my room. And it was pretty gross. I mean, listen, we don't wear shoes in the house. So it was just mainly like cat litter because my cat lives in my room. And also like threads and just like probably dust, threads, dust, and like, you know, the little bits that come out of the paper when you rip it out of a notebook, because I was doing a lot of that today. So cat hair, right? So just this sense of like clearing things out, cleaning things out. I know I have tons of crystals, and it's like, wow, do I really need all these crystals? I think that's another thing on my list this week, is to go through all my crystals and be like, okay, sometimes we buy things because they call to us, or we have a specific reason for it, or sometimes they're just freaking pretty. And then it's like, oh, I don't really want that anymore, or I have enough of that, or it's time to give it a new home or whatever. I know there was a period of time, like, I want to say it was like 2 years ago, I was obsessed with this stone called Septarian, and it's actually a mixture of like 7 different stones. I still love it, but I have tons of it. And this is really the original one that I got. It's really pretty. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks to me like there's a woman. See, this is her hair up here and her head and like her heart and her arm. I just love this piece. It even has a little open spot there. They're called vugs. Anyway, this one sits on my nightstand. But at one period of time, I had like a whole bunch of them, and like different sizes and stuff. And now I'm like, okay, well, this is my favorite, and I'm okay with letting some of the other things go. So a really powerful time for that, especially again, thinking about Leo and thinking about your image. And I mean, Leo is more about your identity than your image, but it is about your image as well, how people see you. Actually went and got a haircut on Wednesday because after 3 years of cutting it myself, cutting my hair myself, this last time I cut my hair, like it just didn't go that well. And I was noticing these pieces every time I would do a video. There'd be like these little pieces that were a little longer. And I was afraid that if I cut it again myself, like I kept going in, like it would get shorter and shorter and shorter. And actually she cut this little piece a little too short. I didn't want her to cut that, so it's kind of going in my face. But anyway, again, a lot of like upgrades and like shifting, and sorry, I'm feeling a little out of breath. It's just, anyway, it's time. It's almost like, I know for me, like there's times when like cleaning my room, and I don't mean like cleaning it like my room was like filthy. It wasn't. I mean, the carpet was a little, because of the cat litter and the fact that I was ripping paper all day today, and there was just stuff all over the floor. But I had wanted to like just move some stuff around and rearrange some things, and it's been on my list for a while. And what I find that sometimes, like, writing something on your to-do list. So one of the things I do is every week I make a list of things that I'd like to get accomplished that week. Some of them are, you know, mandatory, like, you know, certain bills need to be paid and certain things need to be done. But then there's other things that are like, well, it needs to get done. It'd be nice if it got done this week, but it may not. So cleaning my room was one of those things. And it's really interesting because as a kid, I grew up, and every Saturday we would clean the house. And by we, I mean mostly me. As I got older, and my mom would mainly do the kitchen and I would do pretty much everything else. And when I got married and, you know, had my own place, me and my husband, and then, you know, subsequently having kids and things like that, I was just like, I would never do that. I don't want to be the person who's, you know, cleaning every Saturday. And of course, here we are Saturday, and I was cleaning my room, and and that was not what was on my agenda today. Like, I had different plans, and then all of a sudden it was just like, okay, I want to do that, and then I want to do that. And then before I knew it, like the whole room had been done. And I find that writing something over and over again, eventually your subconscious gets the picture, and will get like, you'll just do it. Like, it won't be a conscious thing. Okay. It won't be like, oh, today I'm going to clean my room. It wasn't like that. It was just like, I started one project. I started one nightstand, and then before I knew it, I had done the dresser, and then other nightstand, and then going through all the drawers, and it was just like, and then vacuuming, and like, it just happened. Like, it's just really interesting. But normally what I do with chores like that, and that the way that I had planned to do the room was like do one thing a day. And I don't mean like, you know, today and then another thing tomorrow. I mean like just space it out, right? And usually that's what I do. Sometimes I do that. But today it just happened that it was Saturday, and I ended up cleaning the whole room. And it was just really interesting. There wasn't resistance. There wasn't like, oh, my mom made me do it, so I don't want to do it. And sometimes that's what happens, is that we live our life either in compliance or in resistance rather than in choice. And I feel like a lot of that is what this full moon is illuminating for us. Where are we consciously choosing what we want to do with our lives and in certain areas of our lives? Or where are we complying with what other people expect us to do? And where are we rebelling against what other people want us to do? Okay. Here's the thing. Choice is conscious. It is, this is what I want to do. Doesn't matter if my mom did it. Doesn't matter if my mom didn't do it. Doesn't matter if my dad did it. Doesn't matter if my dad didn't do it. Doesn't matter if my friends want to do it or they don't want to do it. What do I want to do? Instead of, well, it's always been done this way. That's compliance. Or I'm never going to do it the way they did it. That's rebellion, right? It's not the thing. It's your perspective and your essentially it's your perspective, right? It's like it's still the same action. It's just that, are you doing it because you want to do it, or are you doing it because your family's always done it that way? Are you doing it because you want to do it, or because you'll never do what your family did, right? It's about choice. Okay, and we're seeing more of that, more people awakening to, well, I have a choice. Right? I have a choice in how I do things. And it doesn't always feel like you have a choice. And sometimes it's like, well, I can do that. Or if I don't do it, there's really bad consequences. But you always have a choice. Okay? And sometimes even in compliance, we can be like, well, you know what? I'm going to comply right now because that's what's in my best interest. I'm going to choose to comply. And then when I have better options, I may choose something else. Okay. So just a lot of interesting stuff coming up with this Leo full moon that happens tomorrow. I'm not really sure of the timing. I did not look it up, but it doesn't really matter. We're already feeling it. We will be feeling it well into Wednesday, maybe even a little beyond Wednesday. But it's just a very, very interesting energy. And tomorrow actually is the last day of the Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year actually goes 14 days. And tomorrow, I believe, is the Lantern Festival. And it's just a really interesting transition period from the energy of the white tiger into the energy of the black water rabbit, which is the Chinese year that we're in right now. And the rabbit is really a lot of luck. It is about hope. And because of it being in the element of water, it is a very prosperous year. Okay. And I did a video about the Chinese New Year a couple weeks ago, and I said in it, you're going to have to try really, really, really hard not to make money this year, not to have luck financially, not to have better money opportunities. And why would you do that to yourself? So kind of like think about that with the full moon. So I have a little exercise for you to do, and this is kind of literally just, as I say, a divine download. This is what's coming to me right now. Literally this moment came to me. So the full moon, again, is about releasing, right? We're letting things go. And it's not just about it's not just physically, removing things from our environment and cleaning and clearing and things like that, but also internally, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. So when it comes to money and prosperity, and prosperity is really about prospering, right? And prospering really is about money, okay? It may not always mean that you have a lot of money, but it definitely means that your financial situation is secure, that you're not surviving, you're thriving. Okay. So I encourage you, I invite you to do this little exercise. And I highly recommend that you do it, you know, in the next 3 or 4 days, preferably tomorrow with the energy of the full moon. And maybe standing under the full moon and asking for guidance to see things more clearly. But what I'd like you to do, what I invite you to do, is take a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything special, preferably black ink. That is preferred when we are releasing things. And really start writing down, what do you perceive are the obstacles in your way regarding money? Okay. And at the top of the list, I invite you to put down your mind. I invite you to put down your perspective. I might invite you to put down your emotions. So basically what you're going to do at the top of the page is I release and 3 dots. And then below you're going to make your list. So the first thing that you're going to release is your mind. Your mind is part of what is in your way of standing in your way of seeing and taking advantage of financial opportunities. Okay. If you believe that if it wasn't for bad luck, you would have none, then that's exactly what you see. Okay. Think of it back, you know, people talk about the RAS, the reticular activating system, and it's true. This is a part of our brain that is responsible for pattern recognition. When you buy, like when I bought a Kia Sedona, first of all, I'd never heard of it. I didn't even know the thing existed. Not that I'm a big car person, you know, unless we're talking Lamborghinis, and even those, I mean, I couldn't even tell you half the models they have. Anyway, regardless, after I bought my Kia Sedona, all of a sudden I saw them everywhere. Okay. It came under my radar because I bought it. And then my brain's like, ooh, there's another one. Oh, well, and there's one there, and there's one there, right? And this is part of the reason that, you know, these like hidden picture word puzzle-y things are really important for the brain. Because when we start noticing, we can train our brain to notice any pattern. So why not train your brain to, 1, notice where you're holding yourself back. This is what this full moon is about, part of what this full moon is about. And 2, train ourselves to notice the actual opportunities. Okay? It's a twofold thing, because if you train yourself to notice the obstacles, an obstacle is appearing because there is an opportunity. There wouldn't be an obstacle if there wasn't an opportunity. Does that make sense? Like, if there isn't a path, there wouldn't be a detour. Why would you put a detour in the middle of nowhere if it wasn't that there was a problem with that path? It's the same thing. An obstacle is a detour our brain creates because we believe that opportunity, that either opportunities don't exist for us, or those kind of opportunities don't exist for us, something along those lines, or these opportunities aren't for us, something along those lines, right? So if you train yourself to see the obstacle, it's like, okay, there's an obstacle. It's like, okay, now that I see the obstacle, where's the opportunity? Because I know there's an opportunity behind this obstacle. Okay, just like every problem has a solution. It may not be a solution we like. It may not be an easy solution. It may not be a cheap solution. It may not be a pleasant solution. Every problem has a solution. So when we have a problem, that means that there is also a solution out there. So we need to be mindful of that, right? So I invite you to release those obstacles. And you can even say, I release these obstacles that are standing in the way of my prosperity, or of my financial wealth, or of my financial security, whatever word you want to use. I invite you to use the word prosperity, because prospering is not just, it's not like abundance, where abundance is like, it could be abundance of anything. You could have abundance of paper clips. Not many people want an abundance of paper clips. Prosperity literally is prospering. Having the things you need, want, and desire in order to prosper. And again, prospering is thriving. So having more than enough, having reserves. Prospering also is having enough to be generous and donate and help others. So I would invite you to create your lists and say, I release the obstacles that are standing, these obstacles that are standing in the way of my prosperity. Put your 3 dots and make your own list. My own mind, my perspective, my emotions, my thoughts, my conditioning, my upbringing, my childhood, my beliefs. These are a few things to start your list, okay? And then you can get more specific, okay? You know, my failures. Sometimes those failures can be an obstacle, because it's like, okay, well, I did that before and it failed. You know, we start to think that that's going to happen again. It doesn't necessarily have to, right? It depends upon why that failed, right? Obviously, you know, but anyway, I invite you to make your list. And then when you're done with your list, you're going to burn it in a safe and appropriate way. Okay, I have a little pot on my kitchen stove. It's even got a lid, and I turn the fan on. I light the stuff on fire, and then as it's smoldering down, I put the pot lid on top to extinguish it. And then when the pot gets pretty full, which it actually is pretty full, if it's warm enough, I'm gonna go dump it tomorrow and go dump it out into the grass, actually a bunch of bushes back here, and let it go back to the earth. So, you can do it outside. Just be safe, okay? That's all I ask, is that you be safe. And just let that stuff go. But also, the fact that you're writing this down is bringing it to your awareness. The fact that you're hearing me say this, where I'm telling you that your own mind is an obstacle at times. It can be the problem, but it can also be the solution, right? It can be both sides of the coin. So just be mindful of that. The more you're like, oh, my emotions can be the problem, because sometimes we get emotional, we get discouraged, we get upset, we get offended, we have these emotions, and they're coming from our mind, because we're perceiving something, we're making a meaning out of it, and then we're getting emotional about it, because it's like, oh wow, like, you know, that thing I thought that was going to happen didn't happen, and now I'm upset. And we make it mean stuff, when it could be just like, oh, well, it's delayed, or there's a better opportunity coming. You know, we make assumptions, we make meanings out of things. So being aware that we do that, we can catch ourselves, okay? And we can like I said, when we become aware that when we are encountering an obstacle, it means that there is an opportunity behind it. Once we go through the obstacle, we will be in prosperity. We will have this opportunity. It helps us relax a little bit and be like, okay, it's just a speed bump. Like, what if you viewed all the obstacles in your life as speed bumps? It's like, okay, I gotta slow down. And as soon as I get over the speed bump, I'm gonna be on the other side. Right? Different point of view, right? All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Enjoy the full moon. Go take a look at it. It's gorgeous out there. I mean, and it's not even full yet. And I invite you to do this writing, this exercise of releasing the obstacles, okay? and just burn it and then get it off, get it outside somewhere. You know, some people will dump it in running water. I don't usually like to do that because it's kind of like polluting the water, where burnt paper going back to the earth is more of a recycling. Putting it in water is, you know, can contaminate the water. So just be mindful when you get rid of it. You can put it in the trash, but I would, you know, take it out of your home as soon as you can. And just be open to see what comes up in the next couple weeks as we approach the new moon, and see how you become more aware of your obstacles. And instead of viewing them as dead ends, seeing them as detours that you don't have to take. I never thought of it that way, but seeing them as speed bumps. Like, you don't view a speed bump in the road as a I can't go down that road is closed to me. You view it as an opportunity to slow down and be mindful. Same thing with an obstacle. All right, you guys have a great night and enjoy the full moon.